All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Imagine this. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is finally kicking off. The entire globe's attention is fixed on the spectacle. But behind the scenes, a major global soccer star is suddenly stopped cold at the Canadian border, right before his team's opening match. It's an absolutely shocking moment where the unstoppable momentum of a massive international tournament literally collides head-on with the unyielding reality of sovereign national law.
So today we're going to unpack the central mystery here. Why did Thomas Partey, a veteran midfielder with 57 caps to his name, allegedly have his visa application just flat out refused by the Canadian government? This stunning administrative roadblock left the Ghanaian national team completely without one of their marquee players for their opening Group L match against Panama in Toronto. You really have to wonder, how does a player who is fully authorized by his national federation and participating in a massive FIFA-sanctioned event suddenly find a border totally closed to him?
Okay, let's look at the timeline for a second, because the context here is absolutely vital to understanding what happened. The core of this issue stems from legal proceedings currently pending in London. Partey has been charged with multiple counts of rape and sexual assault related to alleged incidents occurring between 2020 and 2025. Now, crucially, he has pleaded not guilty to all of these charges. But look at these dates. His trial was actually pushed back to June 8, 2027. That legal limbo perfectly overlapped with the 2026 World Cup, leading directly to his reported visa denial on June 12th and, of course, his forced absence from the match just days later.
Now Canada, they took a completely uncompromising stance on this. According to a spokesperson for Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, they allegedly treat international tournament athletes under the exact same strict immigration rules as anyone else seeking entry. Basically, hosting a major event does not change the country's laws. Every single person is assessed individually based on available facts, which means absolutely no VIP passes, not even for World Cup stars.
So the real crux of the issue lies in a very specific legal nuance within Canadian immigration law. Based on the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, Canadian border officials reportedly only need what is called reasonable grounds to believe to deny someone entry on the basis of criminality. This is such a fascinating standard of proof. Legally speaking, it sits somewhere between a mere suspicion and the bounds of probabilities. So to put that into perspective, it's a significantly lower bar than what you'd actually need for a criminal conviction.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the contrast at the absolute heart of this incident. Under standard criminal law, which is governed by the foundational presumption of innocence, you are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But under immigration law, a non-citizen can face severe entry consequences based solely on those reasonable grounds to believe. A conviction isn't even strictly necessary to trigger an inadmissibility finding at the border. It's a huge difference.
And here's where the geopolitical dynamic makes the whole situation even more complex, especially in a co-hosted tournament like this. While Canada allegedly locked the gates for the opening match in Toronto, the US actually allowed Partey to enter their borders. Ghana's base camp was in Rhode Island, and he was cleared to play subsequent matches in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania. It really highlights how two neighboring jurisdictions can handle the exact same pending allegations entirely differently when it comes to their border entry protocols.
But, okay, shifting gears away from the legal statutes to the human element for a second, let's look at how Ghana's veteran coach, Carlos Queiroz, handled the immense public and media pressure. Facing incredibly intense scrutiny ahead of their games, he offered a deeply philosophical defense of his player. He told the press, "Let events run its normal course, let the river flow, and one day when the river meets the ocean, we'll find the truth." I mean, what a fascinating poetic way to deflect the immediate, heavy pressure of a press conference and just defer to the ongoing legal process.
You can really see that Queiroz' strategy for managing team morale during all this chaos was super deliberate. He actively cited the legal presumption of innocence. He also didn't hold back from criticizing the swift judgments made with full impunity on modern social media. And perhaps most importantly, he attempted to completely insulate his team, stating that his priority was to keep everything he called poison or dust far away from his players. He demanded that their focus remain strictly within the four lines of the football pitch.
Now, before we move on, it's really important to note that claims suggest this isn't just an isolated anomaly. There's actually a broader precedent here. Morocco's star player Achraf Hakimi has also navigated a similar legal limbo in the world stage, awaiting trial in Paris on similar charges. This really demonstrates that global sports federations are increasingly having to deal with tricky scenarios where high-profile athletes are competing internationally while simultaneously facing serious pending legal battles back home.
Section 1. The tactical fallout. Frustrating the Three Lions.
0. Yep, a big fat 0.
That was the final number of goals scored by either side when Ghana met a powerhouse England squad in Boston. For England, coming off a massive win over Croatia, this 0-0 draw was a really harsh reality check. But for Ghana, this 0 represented absolute unyielding tactical discipline against one of the most potent attacking lineups in the entire tournament.
So, missing a key midfield engine like Partey, and obviously influenced by the need to block out external distractions, Queiroz deployed a gritty, ultra-defensive setup. He opted for an extremely compact 4-5-1 system, sitting deep in what's known as a low block. Honestly, they didn't care about dictating the game at all. They treated possession of the ball as an absolute bonus. Their progress on the pitch was measured purely in the speed, the diligence, and the sheer physicality of their defending.
And the data completely backs up this defensive mindset. Just look at this. England controlled a massive 79% of the ball, leaving Ghana with just 21%. Ghana willingly ceded the vast majority of possession. They essentially told England, all right, here's the ball, now try and find a way through us. And despite having all that possession, England's incredibly talented attackers found themselves repeatedly running into a thick wall of yellow shirts.
And if you thought the possession stat was crazy, this stark contrast in attacking output is truly incredible. England registered 19 total shots during the match. Ghana, just 2. Literally 19-2. This just goes to show how Ghana's strategy was reportedly purely about survival, disruption, and neutralizing threats rather than actually trying to score themselves. They made absolutely zero apologies for their lack of attacking ambition. And you know what? It worked flawlessly to secure a result that kept their World Cup advancement hopes alive.
The media definitely caught on to this. Reports from The Guardian highlighted England's deep frustration, calling it a return to the travails against the dreaded low block. England completely labored to create chances. Even when they brought on dynamic finishers late in the game, they simply could not break the deadlock. It was a perfectly executed game plan by Queiroz, forcing the match to become a grueling physical battle perfectly suited for a team just trying to survive amidst the chaos.
So to wrap up this explainer, we have to pull back from the football pitch for a second and ask a pretty profound question. We've seen exactly how a nation's strict entry standards can entirely upend a team's World Cup strategy. But as international tournaments continue to expand across multiple borders, it really begs the question, when the massive machinery of global sports rolls into town, should sovereign nations ever compromise their own established laws to accommodate the spectacle? Or is the integrity of the border simply more important than the beautiful game? Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope this helped you grasp the incredible legal and tactical layers behind this unforgettable moment.